This is Betting Weekly Extra Time Euro 2024 edition. Time to focus on two of the groups that feature live contenders for the title. You're with Dan Roebuck, and to preview Groups E and F of the action in Germany, Steve Wyss and Jack Wright are alongside me. We're specifically looking for group bets here when it comes to these particular sections. Group E, we're going to start with, boys. Belgium, Ukraine, Romania and Slovakia. Belgium are the favourites, minus 225. Ukraine, plus 400. Romania, plus 650. Slovakia, the outsiders, at 11 to 1. Jack, Belgium, top Group F in qualifying. They've made the quarterfinals last couple of European Championships. And I was looking through the stats. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I've not been across all of the friendlies, but are they unbeaten since the World Cup here? They're on a good run, aren't they, Belgium, under Domenico Tedesco?
They are indeed. 14 games under Tedesco and unbeaten. Yeah, they won 10 of those. Aggregate scoreline 33-8, so they've dominated those games. Only conceded one goal in the last 6 as well, so I think it was very open realistically. And I guess, I think most people said that they can score goals. De Bruyne, Lukaku, plus others as well in that forward area. If they can tie it up defensively, they can go deep into the tournament. So potentially that's been an area of focus, and he's obviously worked on it. And going by the last 6 games, it certainly helped. And that game they conceded was against England at Wembley, and they came all by the last kick of the game of winning that one as well. So I think they're in very, very good shape. I think what he's done is supplemented that experience they got in the side with some youth. So the legs of De Bruyne and Lukaku potentially going a little bit now. They've got the runners around them, and there's not many better in the world, is there, let alone in Europe. Feed it to De Bruyne and he can pick out a pass, and they're lethal. And I think in Lukaku, I've said it as far as he's one of my picks as far as the top goal scorer is concerned. Stay within the 2 posts and score us goals and take us deep into the tournament. And in qualifying, he was obviously the top goal scorer by some distance.
Yeah, worthy favourites to win this section, Steve. The big call, the big talking point in Belgium, of course, is the fact that Courtois is not in the squad. He obviously missed an awful lot of the season because of injury, but he came back to play the final few games for Real Madrid, including the Champions League final. I mean, if that goes wrong for Belgium, that's a huge issue for the coach, isn't it?
Well, hello to everyone, and I'm looking forward to doing this show because me and Jack are not often on a show together. It might even be the first time this season, I think, Jack.
Never seen you in the same room together.
I know, it's remarkable, isn't it? Here we are for Group E and F of the Euros. But Belgium are absolutely the rightful favourites to win the group. But it was an interesting one here. The cynic in me actually believes the runner-up could potentially get the better route, or in the better side of the draw. So that's something to watch out for. Last game, Ukraine against Belgium. But Courtois, I can't believe it. Courtois is one of the best keepers in the world. I know he's coming off ACL injury, but they just won the Champions League final with Real Madrid. I thought he made some big saves, actually, in that game in the first half. I think he's absolutely a match winner. And I am shocked. Normally, these sort of things are resolved before a major tournament. You just don't leave your top keeper at home. And will that come back to bite them? Imagine if a Belgian goalkeeper makes any sort of mistake now. That is going to be absolutely... The spotlight is on all the Belgian keepers here. And, the backup is Kaminski, who was at Luton this year, and Matt Sells, who was at Forest. Actually quite like both in a way, but there's a lot of pressure on this unit without Courtois. But they're by far the best team in the group, and this should be pretty much plain sailing for them. After the group, let's see. But in terms of these opposition, the Belgians should go very, very well under Domenico Tedesco.
The weird thing is he's only named 25 players as well. He's opted not to take 26. Not saying you're going to take 4 goalkeepers, but he's one short, so he's actually got a space that he could have took him. Only Belgium and France have opted to take 25 instead of 26. So, yeah, even more of a big call.
Yeah, I did hear on another podcast on the show that the reason that we're doing that, 3 keepers from your 25 gives you 22, and then you play 11 aside. You haven't got an odd one out who doesn't take part in full-scale training sessions. I don't know if that's true or not. I've got no idea. Anyway, we should point out that obviously both the boys like Belgium here. They're minus 225. Not an official play, but Jack, this does form part of your parlay, which we'll get to the second part shortly. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So to win the group, simple as that. Belgium. Yeah, can't see past it.
Okay, we're not going to play them at minus 225. They are going to form part of a selection parlay, and we'll get to the second bit of that shortly. Let's get some thoughts on the other teams in the groups, and we've got some plays from Steve here. We've got Jack's thoughts on the other teams as well. Ukraine are a plus 120 for a top 2 finish here, Steve. They had to come through the playoffs. They've got some really good players who have performed really well in Spain this season. You've described them as a little bit of a dark horse in one of our other shows here, so I presume you like them to jump out of Group E somehow.
I do. I really like this Ukraine side, and at plus 120, it's definitely an official bet for me for them to finish in the top 2. The fixture schedule actually also is a reason why I like this. The first matches see Romania face Ukraine and then Belgium, Slovakia. The second round of matches, Ukraine face Slovakia. They won't be facing Belgium till the final round, and by then, sometimes Belgium might already be qualified. You can potentially face a weakened team. You might even play for a tactical draw. I think it really helps them in that respect. So I expect them to get off to a really good start against Romania. But going back to what I said in the outright show, for those who've not already watched it, I like the spine of Ukraine. They've got a good goalkeeper, whether it's Lunin or Trubin. They've got the likes of Michaelenko, Zinchenko, Mudryk, and then up front they've got goals, Dovbyk, and the other fellow at Girona, who I'm not going to attempt to pronounce on this occasion. We'll let Jack or you do that.
You did for the previous show.
Well, yes. Well, go on then. Shikanankov. Probably.
Yeah,
Is that okay? I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
No.
But I do like them. And also, look, we've said this before. They may well be everyone's second favourite team because of the events of the world at the minute. They're playing. Everyone's playing for their country, but they might be giving it a little bit more. I think they'll have plenty of support in the stands, and I think they'll go. I think they're a dark horse overall, and certainly, I think they'll certainly qualify. And I think it's a good chance they'll be in the top 2. I think actually the Belgium-Ukraine forecast 1-2. I don't know actually what the odds are. I will get it before the end of this show. Could be worth a look as well. But top 2 at plus 120.
Jack, yeah, top 2 plus 120. I mean, Romania, Jack, plus 130 here. Your thoughts on Ukraine and Romania, because there's not a lot to choose between them in the market here for a top 2 finish. When it comes to finishing bottom, it's slightly different. Romania plus 150, Ukraine plus 400. But Romania are a difficult one. I looked at a little bit of the squad, and those players that do play outside of Romania, they're sort of not regulars in Big 5 league teams, are they, here when it comes to Romania? What's your thoughts on Ukraine and Romania here for Group E?
Yeah, I like Ukraine. I think the Alexander Usyk kind of factor, as far as that going for your country, has going to have some kind of impact in it. We've got to bear in mind that they've qualified by playing everything away from home, which is a big thing as well. Their qualifying group was tough. There was no shame in that. They finished level on points with Italy. So decent performances there. They drew with England and Italy as well in qualifying. So other than Belgium, you're looking at the other group, teams in this group, and you think they'd have the upper hand over them. And I say they're used to playing either on neutral soil or away from home. So I think they've kind of had the best prep, I suppose you could say, of any team in the competition there, really. So yeah, I like that, like the chances there. They've done well under Rebrov since he's come in as well. So yeah, superb on that side of things. And Romania, I'm not convinced by them. Unbeaten record in qualifying, so you'd think, well, hang on, what's gone on there? But I think you look at their underlying numbers, they fluked that a little bit, to be fair, and I wonder if that luck might run out a little bit. And you look at the results recently, I know you can't read too much into friendlies, but when there's a succession of them where you've underperformed, that would be enough to turn me off. 2 goalless draws against Bulgaria and Liechtenstein. I can't say that's going to be getting too many Romania backers excited. And what I would suggest is they tend to be playing defensively. They look for nicking wins. 8 of their 10 games since 2000 in the European Championships have been under 2.5 goals. So Nigel Seeley and the underbackers will be flocking in on Romania games here. Average of 2.1 in qualifying, which was one of the lowest in qualifying, and 6 of their 10 games went under. So that would be my angle of attack on Romania, and I don't really like them too much in this group.
Yeah, you're a fade of Romania as well, Steve, aren't you?
Yeah, any Romanian fans listening or watching to this show, cover your ears and eyes now, because I'm going to absolutely lay into them. I think they're awful. I think they're going to be terrible. I think at the end of this tournament, we're going to look back and think, and everyone's going to be like, they may well be look like one of the worst teams at the tournament, because I'm not even sure they score a goal. I'm not even sure they're going to get a point. It might be a 0-0 somewhere. The qualifying is an interesting point, and I agree with Jack. I think they fluked it a bit. But if we look at their group, it contained the likes of Andorra, Belarus, Kosovo. I wouldn't mind lacing up my boots to face those nations. And then a Swiss side who were very underwhelming in qualifying, who made a lot of mistakes. There was a really fluky game in Switzerland where Swiss were 2-0 up heading into stoppage time, and Romania scored 2 late goals. That's basically the reason why they're unbeaten in qualifying and why they've topped the group. If that had gone as it should have done, Switzerland win, then Romania probably would have finished second. They've got a lot of domestic players, which can be sometimes a positive. I look through this squad, I don't think there's much star quality. Lack of goal scorer, and I've got a couple of picks on Romania for this group, haven't I? I've got them to finish bottom at plus 150.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get anywhere near Belgium. I don't think they're going to get near the Ukraine. It's just a question of whether they get something against Slovakia. We're going to talk about Slovakia in a minute, and I think for me the Slovaks have just a lot more ability, certainly in midfield and going forward. So I think Romania are going to really struggle. I think they're going to be completely underwhelming. I don't think they're going to offer much at all. Like I said, I'm not even sure they'll score a goal, Dan. So under 3.5 tournament goals at minus 112. This line is way too high. I can't believe it. They could score 3 goals here, and I still cash. They're not going to score 3 goals. I think it's going to be 0 or 1. I really am a massive Romanian fader here. I'm going to be against them in every game. And, I will quite happily stick my neck out on here. And, as I say, plus 150 to finish bottom. Under 3.5 tournament goals at minus 118. I think they're going to stink the place out.
Bullish
on the fence
from
there,
Steve.
Steve,
Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, but as you've highlighted, Steve, they're not going to get anything from Belgium. Probably unlikely against Ukraine. That Slovakia game's going to be the interesting one. What are your thoughts on Slovakia here? They are the outsiders to win the group at plus 1100 to finish bottom. They're the favourites at plus 120 here. I sort of liked them for a while. Francesco Calzona obviously in charge. Then he was this dual role with Napoli. I don't think that's done them any favours or him any favours as well. They were knocked out the group stages in 2020. They did make it out of the groups, the previous renewal. What's your thought? Why do you I guess the question here is, why do you think Slovakia might just be that little bit better than Romania?
Ability. I mean, if we look at the Slovakian squad, I think the manager's done a really good job with them, by the way. And it's a shame it didn't work out for him at Napoli. I think it has been a distraction for the national team. But there was a lot of reports, a lot of the players interviewed before this tournament said that apparently he just couldn't wait to get to boot camp, basically, ready for this tournament. He really enjoys working with this group. But, I mean, look, Marcin Dubravka in goal, experienced Premier League keeper. You got Skriniar. Hanko is a really fine prospect. Another defender at Feyenoord there. So I think they've got a decent sort of back line. Could be solid enough. Lobotka, he's a really reliable midfielder for them. And then, I think, again, and we're going to talk about this for a lot of teams this tournament, they do lack a proven striker, and I think they might struggle a little bit, maybe to score goals. This might not be the highest scoring group in the world, to be fair, because I think a lot of the underdogs are just going to try and get a 0-0 against Belgium, sort of thing. But that I could see Slovakia-Ukraine's game, match day 2. It wouldn't honestly surprise me if that was actually a draw. At that stage, it may well suit both sides for it to be a draw. I think whatever happens, Slovakia-Romania for the final group game will be, a shootout potentially. To winner takes it all, an ABBA game, as I like to call it. So, yeah, that's where it can be gung ho and weird things can happen. But I just think I've got to back Slovakia's extra ability here to over Romania, certainly.
Jack, very very quickly, your take on Slovakia here.
Yeah, I'm hoping Steve gets some money, but not a man after midnight. Anyway, I think, yeah, I think he's pretty much nailed the players that I was going to go with there. Skriniar and Henko. Eredivisie's impressed, hasn't he? Again, yeah, I think they're going to keep it tight. Portugal were the only side to take points off them in qualifying, so they've got that going well for them, and they keep clean sheets. 5 clean sheets in 10 qualifying games. So, yeah, we've set a bit of a template. The fact that these sides are going to look to keep it tight and not give too much away. So I think the ones with the high quality like Belgium will find a way. The other games will be quite tight and cagey, I think. So, yeah, I rate them slightly better than Romania, but again, a tough one. And a third place could well be in this group where they might start taking points off each other, could well be enough to get through.
Group E plays then. Jack likes Belgium to win the group. It's the first leg of a parlay, so not just minus 225. We've got Steve liking Ukraine, top 2 finish here, plus 120. Fading Romania significantly to finish bottom, plus 150. And under 3.5 tournament goals at minus 118. Just give us your 1, 2, 3, 4 then here when it comes to the group finishers here, Steve. Who wins, who's second, who's third, who's bottom?
I'll tell you what, I'm just thinking if Romania proved me wrong, then I've certainly met my Waterloo, haven't I? I know.
That's it. That's
enough.
enough.
I know.
That's enough.
I'll get my coat now. For me, it's just fairly straightforward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, Romania.
So not quite in price order. Obviously, Slovakia jump above Romania. Jack?
I'll have to show them a working out here that I've
Yeah,
Belgium,
come on,
Ukraine, Slovakia and Romania.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that. It's very, very difficult to back against Belgium. I don't know about Romania. Steve's gone out on a limb here. It's going to be interesting. They did qualify. They were unbeaten. We shall see what happens with the Romanians when it comes to Group E. Let's move on to Group F because Portugal top the betting when it comes to the outright prices, the futures prices for this particular section at minus 240. Turkey plus 400 here. Czechia plus 550. And Georgia, massive price, plus 1600, making their first appearance, of course, in a major tournament. Look, we'll get Jack in on Portugal first because we talked on the outrights, the futures for the Euros about Portugal, and everybody wants to bet them here. They were brilliant in qualifying. They haven't always won their groups, though, here, Jack. Just give us your thoughts on Portugal minus 240 for this particular section and just in general.
Yeah, I think they get out of their group here and I think they win it. And that is the second leg of my parlay. So putting them with Belgium, and I was surprised, really, that you put them together, you're getting plus money, plus 106. I can't see past either of them topping their particular group. Portugal were outstanding in qualifying, 10 wins from 10. We've talked about the players that they've got. I think alongside probably France, they could put out 2 squads in this tournament and go well with both of them. They've got so much talent in forward areas. Bruno Fernandes topped the assists in qualifying. Ronaldo, 10 goals in qualifying. Only Lukaku scored more than that. If Ronaldo's not firing or age catches up with him all of a sudden, then they've got strength in depth as well. Say in those forward areas, it is phenomenal. And again, realistically, across the whole team, so you can start listing the players and then realise that you've forgotten 5 or 6 as well. So I think they are so strong. They tend to always get out of their group, as I said, in the Euros, not necessarily winning it, but I do take them to win it this time. Last competitive loss was in the World Cup against Morocco. So I think they'll continue that run. They've performed very well. And I think this group is there for the taking and they'll seize the opportunity. And that will give them a nice run through to the very deep into the tournament because I think it'll be favourable for them as they progress through.
Are they a bit of a momentum team, though, Jack, do you think? Because did they draw all of their games when they went on to win it in 2016 in the group stages? They sort of just do enough, and I'm just worried about backing them at a short price or getting them involved in a parlay at a short price to win their group when they, I don't want to say traditionally start slowly, but they have done in the past. Is that a slight concern, maybe?
Not for me, really. I think when you're looking at historical stuff, especially in this, you've got
a lot of different. You've got different managers in charge. You've got different opposition that they're facing. They've only got 3 games to play. Or other than Ronaldo, who's been like an ever present for the last 20 years, then it's all changed around him, and I think there's different mindsets and different strategies. So, yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned by that. I'm not massive one for like head-to-head data when you're talking about domestic football. So when you're going back in time. 2016, and that there's so much has changed over that period of time. So I get it, but no, not for me. I think they win here and they carry that run on that they've had going into this tournament where they've been exceptional.
Second leg of the parlay. The parlay plays plus 106. I mean, Steve, look, they're deservedly favourites here. And I guess it's not just because Portugal are good, but there are question marks about Turkey, Czechia and Georgia.
I think this is actually quite a straightforward group to predict. It doesn't mean there's particularly that many great betting angles on it. I think Portugal beat everyone. I think Georgia will lose to everyone. And then it comes out of the last group game, Czech Republic, Turkey for 2nd/3rd. I mean, if I had to... This is the most confident team I would have to win a group in the whole tournament. If you had to say, put your life on one group winner, it would be Portugal. It's really worth their while to win this group because they'll be guaranteed a 3rd place opponent in the next round. Again, it doesn't mean you're going to get an easy team, but it definitely should technically be more favourable. So it's very much worth their while. Three of the lowest 8 ranked sides in this tournament are actually in Group F. Georgia are the lowest ranked side. This is according to the FIFA World Rankings, and look, you can take those with a pinch of salt. Of course we can. But Georgia are the lowest ranked. Turkey and Czech Republic are not in the top 35 in the world. So there's a huge gulf here, really. It should be at completely plain sailing for Portugal.
Let's just talk about the other nations in the group, to see if we can figure out who might come 2nd and 3rd. Turkey are, Steve, the second favourites at plus 400 to win the group. They're minus 125 for a top 2 finish here. That might make appeal to some. They did win their qualifying group ahead of Croatia. I mean, Vincenzo Montella, who took over sort of in the autumn, he's done really well there, but I think they've been pegged as dark horses previously and have come a cropper in tournaments.
This is what worries me about Turkey, and they're quite an exciting side to watch. They always have been, really, and but they've not got a great record in tournaments for a while. I think they had a run to the semi-finals actually in this was it 2008 or something like that. So they do have a little bit of history, but Montella's come in. He replaced Stefan Kuntz, who it just didn't work out, did he? Did it there for the German? Unfortunately, they do look a better unit under Montella, for sure. But they've got some injuries at the back. Kabak Soyuncu out of this tournament, and I think defensively they're going to get found out. They always concede quite a lot of chances to Turkey, and that really concerns me. They're going to have to outscore quite a few sides. Enis Unal was going to be potentially playing up front for him. He's another injury. Did all right at Bournemouth, didn't he, in the second half of the season? I think Turkey games could well be overs, Like all their games may well be high scoring, but it doesn't mean they're going to outscore opponents. I think they will qualify because I think they'll beat Georgia, and they probably get a point somewhere against Czech Republic. Turkey may well be a draw, so I think they'll qualify. But I don't think they're going to be much of a long-term prospect. Defence will let them down.
Jack, what's your take on Turkey? Should they be second favourites ahead of Czech Republic here, minus 125, plus 110, the pair?
Not in my opinion, no. I've got them down here. So I think that it was such a shout. I think I got burnt along with most of the betting public in the last tournament when they were everyone's dark horses, weren't they? I think they started out about 80-1 and got backed into about 20-1. They were no longer a dark horse. They were certainly like more of a grey. But I think it was such an abysmal showing. I think you get your fingers burnt and you go, there could be history repeating itself. And so those injuries, especially in the defensive areas, could prove costly. Their recent form as well is alarming. They did get beat by Hungary, which I don't think is a disgrace because I've mentioned Hungary in the past, saying that they are a solid side that could well be this tournament's dark horse and go into a decent level of the competition. But that 6-1 defeat by Austria really does ring alarm bells. Steve mentioned it there. They concede chances, they concede goals. Austria took full advantage, and there's some serious attacking talent in this group. amongst the lesser lights as well. So I think they could be in trouble.
Interesting. We're talking overs in this particular group. Just a bit of a side bet when we come to the matches potentially here. So you reckon Czech Republic, Jack, might be a little bit better here? I mean, it's not an official play, but we'll get you 1, 2, 3, 4 shortly. But potentially you're saying that Czech Republic plus money are a little bit better value.
Yeah, giving the game away a little bit by saying that I do fancy him ahead of Turkey. But yeah, I think they've got a massive chance of getting second place in the group. They seem a little bit of a younger setup than has been in the past. They've got a couple of Premier League players in the English Premier League players in their ranks. Souček and Kufal, obviously, who played together at West Ham. And I say, I think they seem like a bit of a hungry setup about them. So I fancy that they, again, could go and cause problems. They've done well in qualifying, and again, they've gone into the tournament off the back of some positive results in these last warm-up games, these friendly games. And as much as, again, I repeat myself by saying you can't read too much into friendlies, but you'd rather be winning them than losing them, and you want to be taking momentum, certainly this close into the tournament, and putting some confidence into your players, and I think they've got that.
Do you know what? You're starting to persuade me a little bit when it comes to this side. And Steve, just on the sort of club situation with 1 or 2 of the players, I know that Schick and Hlozek play at Leverkusen. None of them are regulars. Schick has been sort of regularish over the last 3 or 4 years. But when you've just been in that environment and you've just had such a good season, you're going to be full of confidence, aren't you, playing for your nation here? And I don't know, maybe plus 110 might be a play. How do you see Czechia/Czech Republic? I've got a bit hipster with the new name. Go on, what do you like?
Yeah, is it Czech Republic or what
I
is
don't
actually
know.
going to be known as at this
I'm going between the two.
I'll stick with Czech Republic because I've used it for years. But I quite like them in a way that they've actually got a new manager, obviously, as was mentioned. And
it's an odd one, isn't it? He left, didn't he? The other guy?
Apparently it was an underwhelming qualifying.
Is he in the Middle East? I think
underwhelming qualifying campaign. So, but I mean, the new manager's come in and they've had 3 out of 3 wins. They just smashed Malta 7-1. I know it's only Malta, but Malta normally only get beat 2 or 3, don't they? I don't know, maybe they opened a bit more up in the friendlies. But look, they're going to have some momentum heading into the tournament. They've got a bit of quality in certain areas. You know, Souček, I think, is a big player for them in midfield. Schick and Hlozek, I think they'll get quite a few minutes. You know, they've got goals in them. I mean, half the squad feels like it's from Slavia Prague, which is maybe not a bad thing. You know, everyone's going to know each other. But in terms of actually the group, the betting for this group is difficult because I just think the outcomes of the first few games are fairly predictable. I think Georgia will get beat by both Czech Republic and Turkey, but I think Portugal will then beat Turkey, Czech Republic. So the last group game, I think this is the last group games that we played. So teams going to know what they need to do to qualify. It might be Czech Republic, Turkey. Draw suits them both. Do you know what I mean? And then it may well come down to goal difference, won't it? So I think because of Turkey's defence concedes just a few too many goals for my liking, I would go with Czech Republic in second place. So maybe there is a bit of value there. But I just feel like that last group game, a draw will be suiting both sides.
Yeah, not an official play, but we sort of have come to the agreement that the Czech Republic might nick second. A word on Georgia. Steve, you've gone heavily against Romania. You're going to go heavily against Georgia. Is there no value in it, but you think they're not going to perform particularly well? I mean, I thought that they were pretty lucky to qualify. I mean, they were 4th in their group. They beat Luxembourg in their first playoff round, and Luxembourg had a player sent off. Very unlucky not to have a player sent off themselves, Georgia, in that game. And then, of course, Greece on penalties. What's your Georgia take? Have you got Georgia on your mind?
I've got a bet on Georgia, haven't I?
Have you?
Yes.
You have? Yes, you have.
So I might as well talk about the bet
You
now.
have.
This is one that I'm not massively confident about, but I think Georgia can score over 2.5 tournament goals. I think minus 132 is the price. And the main reason for that is not necessarily because I rate them, but I think they're going to come here. Look, this might be the only sort of major tournament they ever get to in this era. It's going to be really hard for them to qualify. It's been done with the playoff routes, with the Nations League, which is a great addition. They're the worst ranked side here. Doesn't mean they're going to be shambolic. I think they'll give it a good go. I think they'll come here and they'll want to really represent their nation proudly. And if you look at the strengths of Georgia, it's actually in attack. Kvaratskhelia, Mikotadze, The goalkeeper's not bad either. Valencia.
Mikitadze owes us absolutely nothing, by the way, for those who have been with us.
I think he'll go well.
Show.
I mean,
he's a regular shot on target merchant for us.
If James is on any shows with Georgia involved, we know what the bet's going to be, don't we?
Mikitadze's going to be.
I think he can score. And I think we've said before this might be a high-scoring group, right? And this possibly, I don't think Bet Rivers are offering the market high-scoring group, but I think this would be the one for me. Turkey, they've got. I don't think there's anything to fear about the Turkish defence. Czech Republic, I don't think you go look at them and they're going to be quaking in their boots. And they're actually playing Portugal in the last group game. Now, by then, Portugal may have won the group, or certainly qualified. And the Portuguese could reel off the changes. It's still going to be a good team. But you'd much rather face a second-choice Portugal defence than a first choice. So I think the last group game, even if Georgia had gone completely by then, well, they won't technically win the game. You probably get in, but so they'll be going for it right till the end. And I think over 2.5 tournament goals for them. I think the whole squad's lacking quality. Of course, it is comparing. And I think defence especially will be a problem. Willy Sagnol's in charge. It might be 5 at the back, but I think it's going to be a case of it will be a struggle for them to get a point. But they'll give it a fair crack of the whip. I think they'll score a goal. I think they might score in a couple of games, so over 2.5 tournament goals for me. Not a massive play, this one, but minus 132. It's an official bet.
Yeah, over 2.5 tournament goals, minus 132. They're minus 200 to finish bottom of the section. They've got a sprinkling of good players. Jack, as Steve was just talking about, Mikitadze at Metz, I presume he might leave because they've gone down, haven't they? Kvaratskhelia, obviously at Napoli, has been touted. Raul Mamardashvili, the Valencia keeper. What's your take? What's your line on Georgia here? Any angles in?
Well, thanks for pronouncing all those players for me. Those 3 are the ones I had down. But I followed Mikitadze when he was in the lower tiers in Belgium. On
have a hipster throw at that. Go on, son.
Yeah. Was it Sarang he was at? Anyway, but
no idea.
He was scoring hat-tricks galore and being priced up beautifully. So I'm pleased to see he's one of them players that you just follow, having got a read on early, and he was kind of under the radar. So it's great to see him now at the highest stages. So Kvaradona is obviously going to be the main man for them again. He's the poster boy for Georgia, and so a highly rated goalkeeper. So if you've got a highly rated goalkeeper and a puncher's chance up front, then you could get a little bit of fortune. And I say this could be one of those groups where third place will progress through, because I think the bottom 3 in it will be taking points off each other. So I do give him a puncher's chance, and I like that Willy Sagnol in charge. I think he's obviously got loads and loads of experience, having played for France. He's got that tournament experience as well. That can be quite priceless when it comes down to these kind of matches here. And I think he could potentially be worth a point or 2 for him. So, I think they could cause a few surprises, because this is it. They're effectively having a free swing at this, aren't they? No one's really expecting them to do too much. I say they were slightly fortunate in qualifying, but sometimes it's better to be lucky, as we know, than good.
Indeed it is. Just one other thing, Steve, that I've just thought about. I mean, Turkey are going to have some serious support for all of their games in Germany. I mean, is that anything that we should sort of factor in?
Yes, that is a good point. The Turkish are always pretty well supported anyway, but especially more so in Germany. I think their games are going to be like a carnival. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. We're going to get end to end. It's going to be excitement, and you can't underestimate them, because they just have phases where they become like a dragon. You know what I mean? Like, everyone gets possessed a bit, and they have phases where they look unplayable a little bit, actually. So you got to be careful with Turkey. They're the ultimate sort of enigma side. Even some might list them as dark horses. Again, they've got scoring ability, but then they'll make stupid mistakes. Red card or moments where they're just exposed completely. They're going to be a fun watch, Turkey.
Speaking of cards, we have got one final play. Not necessarily in Group F, because it could go beyond Group F, but it's a player that plays for a team in Group F. Steve, this is about one of Portugal's midfielders. Yeah,
and I bet Rivers are offering individual markets for certain teams. There's actually 15 markets on offer for Portugal. If you are browsing on the web browser here, keep scrolling down right to the bottom. It's quite a long list to find this, but player to receive the most cards in the competition for Portugal is my bet here for João Palhinha, plus 500. So if he's level with someone, it will be dead heat rules. But I think if anyone who's seen him at Fulham in the last couple of seasons knows he's a card machine. 27 cards in the last 2 seasons for Fulham in the Premier League. That his role in that team is obviously the enforcer. He breaks at play, plays cynical and dirty if he needs to. That is now his role, I think, in this Portugal squad. And the only reason he hasn't really racked up the cards for Portugal down the last few years is because he wasn't really a nailed down starter. But I think now he is. I think now he's the man in that midfield for Roberto Martinez, who offers us some bite, presence, and he's a massive suspension risk at some point in this tournament, I think. That's the problem. He may well miss a game, but I could certainly see him picking up a couple of cards. If they were to make the semi-final and final when cards get wiped out, I think he's a banker to go in the book in both those games. He really would be. He just happens, take a free shot. So I think he's a clear standout. I mean, in qualifying, Ronaldo actually was the leading card getter for, Was it a couple of those, maybe the shirt came off? I don't know. You got to watch out for that. That will happen at this tournament.
If I was Ronaldo, my shirt would be off more than it was on. To be honest.
Pepe, I think, is the joint favourite in this market. Jalf Chancellor plus 600. Bruno Fernandes is biggest plus 900. That could be one to look at, but I just think Palhinha plus 500 is the clear standout for them in this. Just a bit of a quirky market. This one, I know not everyone's going to be able to get on this, but plus 500. Jalf Palhinha, most Portugal cards.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting. Look, let's just wrap things up with a 1, 2, 3, 4 here for Group F. Jack, what's your finishing order for this section?
Portugal, Czech Republic, Czechia, Georgia, Turkey.
What?
Yes, we're having a turkey shoot here. It is Turkey to finish bottom.
Ooh.
Turkey to finish bottom, incidentally, is plus 400. Not an official play, but, I'm getting the 1, 2, 3, 4 for everyone when we do these group previews. And Nigel said on the futures, Steve, you do get some strange ones. You do get some odd results. You do get teams that you think are going to qualify that do not qualify and absolutely have a shocking tournament. What's your 1, 2, 3, 4?
For me, it is quite straight. Well, no, it's not that straightforward because I don't. Second, Portugal win the group hands down. I think 9 points for them, and after that, I'm going to go Czech Republic, Turkey, Georgia. It's interesting. The first group game is Turkey-Georgia, and I think Turkey will win it, but they are not a team you would ever trust. You just wouldn't trust them.
This is it. If they lose that first one, they could finish bottom. They could implode. They could go
completely. So I can actually see Jack's point of view there. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes. I think it's going to be...
And it's also the flip, isn't it? If you think if Georgia are going to win one, Jack, it might be match day 1.
Yeah, and I think that's part of my thinking is they go into that and that's going to be possibly when they're at their highest point and they can take Turkey on. And I think Turkey are vulnerable. Like I say, we've talked about their injuries and their history and... Yeah, they get cold feet.
If I ended like a 3-3 draw, you wouldn't be shocked, would you?
That game could be anything. So I think Georgia have got a puncher's chance because they've got great talent in the forward areas, and Turkey, as you say, you could get anything from them. But yeah, that would be one to possibly have a little bit of a wild wager on some high scores.
Interesting. Love it. Group F preview in the book. And that wraps up Betting Weekly Extra Time Euro 2024 edition. Groups E and F discussed. And a reminder that we will be with you throughout the tournament. Best picks match by match. So stay with us on the road to Berlin. Many thanks to Steve and to Jack for now, though. From all of us, it's goodbye.
Cheers, everyone.